Hey guys, and welcome to some Gotrek on Gotrek action as one of the oldest rivalries here on the channel. The mighty Grombrindle up against his clanmate Sergeant Spaghetti comes to the forefront once more. Of course, we do have some dwarfs on display. Clan Ungrund are being led by Belegar up against the Bretonnian forces. Now, one thing that is a little peculiar in this battle is that there is indeed two Gotreks and two Felixes on the field, one representing both sides. We're going to have to see who is the true Gotrek, who's the true Felix, and can they come to terms. Leading the dwarf force, of course, is both of those mighty heroes, as well as a Belegar Ironhammer in the centre, looking like a full Avengers squad here, with the crew in the back being the Scolder Guard. Regiment of renowned Iron Drakes can be pretty hard to use, but can certainly make some pretty decent value if they can get their shots off. For the main battle line, we do have a ton of miners with blast and charges dotted all the way along, including the Ekrund miners, the Regiment of Renowned one, who actually have more blast and charges than your average dwarvish folk. In the central portion, we do have some Thunderers. It looks like one on either side, protected by some Dwarf Warriors and Slayers dotted all the way through the back line. Really solid Dwarf build all round. Dwarfs in general have a fantastic time up against Bretonnia. The sheer amount of damage the Blast and Charges can do to Bretonnian front lines is pretty scary. Then if you protect those key targets such as Thunderers, they'll help deal with Knights. So how was Sergeant Spaghetti done to try and overcome the Dwarvish fortress that is going to be this build? Well, he of course has some peasant mobs. Looks like one over on this left-hand side, but the front line is the mighty Foot Squires. Foot Squires, armor piercing, anti-infantry, damage dealers. All of those things tick big boxes when you come up against the dwarves in general. So Foot Squires all the way along the main battle line. Just behind them, we have a bucket ton of peasant bowmen, 1, 2, 3, 4 in fact, to rain fire down on artillery crews and try to shut down thunderers and quarrelers from afar. And then we have a ton of cheap cavalry, very cheap, very cheerful knights errands dotted all the way along. Once again, anti-infantry, ticking that box that you do like up against the dwarves. Leading this force, once again, is going to be Felix and Gotrek, fighting side by side this time in their own Dark Avengers theme, with the Fey Enchantress floating in between them. Perhaps she's managed to bewitch them to fight against their brothers. Chalice of Potions and Favour the Fae shall be her poisons of choice, alongside Regrowth and Earthblood. And the healing certainly could be a huge factor here. If you have identical clones fighting and one of them can heal, you would certainly normally back the one with the healing potential. But on the Dwarvish side, we have a lot of firepower which can come in and support. Looks like Peasant Mobs are again rather aggressive here. Pushing out on this left-hand side, trying to bait out some of the blasting charges from the miners, although it looks like for their troubles, they're going to get absolutely obliterated on the approach by some of those Thunderers. That peasant is super crazy tough. He just took a bullet to the chest and then carries on charging back in the name of the lady. Looks like some of the blasting charges, though, may answer their call. And at the end of the day, if it helps clear out the chaff, it's not the worst use of the charges, despite the fact it's not going to be getting them particularly fantastic value. Peasant Mobs trying to juke back and forth and waste as many of those charges as possible. Good micro attempt there by Sergeant Spaghetti. Gotrek has seen Gotrek across the field and is just charging, bomb rushing across, but his good friend Felix and Belegar calm him down. It looks like he is going to be falling back, trying to now juke back and forth and waste the ammunition on the Bretonnian forces. Both players really trying their best to waste the opponent's ammo where possible. Thunderers are unleashing hell upon some of the Foot Squires in the Bretonnian front line. Looks like double peasant bowmen are trying to shut them down, but Thunderers have 80 armor and bronze shields. They're certainly not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, and the Foot Squires will be disappearing far quicker in clouds of blood, mucus, and dust. Once again, Gotrek kind of baits a charge forward. Scolder Guard have indeed pushed up, unleashing a scaldering volley into the Foot Squires before managing to juke that summoned Comet of Cassandora, which has a really long wind-up time and unfortunately does completely miss the Scolder Guard. And both the hero corps are just lining up, looking across the battlefield at each other. Minor blast and charges do help break down some of those Foot Squires, however, and that seems to be the tail of the tape dotted all the way along. More Foot Squads on this right-hand side, just getting obliterated by the Ekrund miners. These guys value be really interesting to look at the end of the battle. Thunderers unleashing hell upon Knights Errant, who have been intercepted by some Dwarf Warriors. The big pockets of space are opening up now in the Dwarvish fortress, which of course the cavalry can start to swoop in and do pretty good damage with. The main fight, though, the Royal Rumble we're all here to see, has kicked off as Gotrek stands against Felix and Felix against Gotrek. Looks like Belegar is in here, tussling out with the lads, trying to get a bit of a better kind of trade for his own troops, so he does abandon them briefly. And this is a sad day to see for sure. Looks like both of them screaming oaths of vengeance against the other and trying to deal huge damage. And certainly the Bretonnian Felix looks to be suffering, but an overcast, well, Favour was popped on Gotrek, but an overcast regrowth does go down on him, but not before he breaks and starts running. That doesn't sound like something the real Felix would do to me. Skoldigard have now been overrun by Knights Errant. Fantastic micro from Sergeant Spaghetti, pushing foot squires into the back line, as well as these Knights Errant pressuring all over. But brilliant counter-punch play as well by Grombrindle. As you can see in the back line, we still have more Dwarf Warriors yet to engage, and some Thunderers who need to come back. But everywhere else, every time the Knights do rain in and do some really decent damage, Slayers are here to intercept, or Dwarf Warriors to help protect those key targets. Fey Enchantress gets her booty absolutely destroyed by Gotrek, who then turns back to deal damage to his red brother here. Belegar is fighting strong, but some Knights Errant have lanced their way into the central fight, and there's a bucket ton of bowfire coming in, helping assist the red Grombrindle take down the green Grombrindle. Red one's certainly struggling, down to just 1,000 health, but still holding the line relatively well. Peasants have been firing consistently through the course of the entirety of the battle, now trying to focus down Dwarf Warriors, but still haven't been able to finish off those Thunderers. Skoldigard are once again back online, raking shots down the rank of the foot squires. Going to be getting some glorious value from them, up to 81 kills as well. Still plenty of ammunition left. Felix has managed to return to the field after that nice cheeky little regrowth, and he is dancing alongside the Fae once more, cleaving his way through miners with blasts and charges. And I really like the Felix pick here. Good anti-infantry duelist for sure. Both Gotreks absolutely going for it. This one down to just 240 health, the other 260. This is an insane duel as they batter each other back and forth, doing some massive damage. Looks like Bowfire is coming in though, whacking both of them. And Belegar just shield bashes one of the Gotreks to the ground. And with that, it looks like he is indeed slain. I think we all know who the true Gotrek is here, although it looks like it's now Gotrek on Felix action, with one of the each being taken down. Peasant Bowmen continue to pour in fire. The Dwarfs now starting to get really aggressive, push into the back line now that all the Knights are rather beleaguered and beat up themselves. Dwarf Warriors, yeah, hammering down Peasant Bowmen, now turning their vengeance onto this secondary unit. Dwarfs looking pretty comfortably at the moment. Skoldigard are still raining in fire, 109 kills on those bad boys, and still the fight continues in that central pocket. The mighty Felix is slaughtering troops. The Fae has been popped on him, and he does kill his own friend. But filled with arrows, filled with hatred for what he has done, it looks like Belegar does indeed get his vengeance, and the Bretonnian force shatters. Very well played to these two champs, Grombrindle and Sergeant Spaghetti. Always love it when they do send in replays. Loads of great games between these two guys we've had on the channel in the past. And a really funny one where, honestly, Gotrek and Felix is really strong, I think, in this matchup for the Dwarfs in particular. And Felix very good up against the Dwarfs. And even Gotrek can go toe-to-toe with a lot of their characters, despite the fact his bonus versus large won't really come into effect so much. Really tough matchup for Bretonnia all round. Certainly one of the hardest ones that they can struggle with quite a bit. So very well played for Sergeant Spaghetti, making it such a close game. We will go through the damage value, damage stats, and all that stuff in a second. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. Drop new videos every single week. We're also going to be doing a live stream, hopefully tomorrow. Or I should say, if you're watching this in the future, hopefully on Thursday. We will be doing a Warhammer World Championships. Probably one of the first live streams done for, actually, where the battles are indeed live. We're getting into those kind of later stages where everything is going to be played on camera. So hopefully that will be kicking off tomorrow. Obviously depends when we can get the players going and all that good stuff. Also down below in the description you can find links to my Patreon where you can support me. Massive shout out to everyone who already has. I believe Michael is the latest one as well. So big shout out to you, buddy. And I'll speak to you soon anyway if you can get in touch with me and I can change your status on my Discord to show you are now a member of the Royal Duck Guard. And speaking of my Discord, link down below to that as well. You can send me replays, get involved in weekly challenges, tournaments, live streams, all that awesome good stuff. But now on to the goodies, the damage value and all that beautiful stuff. We're going to start with the Dwarfs first. The mighty Belegar was certainly a true champion of the people, shield bashing the fake Gotrek to death and then avenging his friend by slaughtering Felix. Coming in with a whopping 2k damage value, certainly getting the last hits there on a few of those bad boys, up to 4 kills as well. Poor Felix really struggled here. He is but a humble bard. 216 damage value certainly isn't too great. Gotrek, on the other hand, 2.4k, putting in a fantastic display. Miners across the front line, getting some pretty solid kills, just helping clear out chaff, despite the fact the damage value isn't crazy. It's still relatively solid. 550 here, 474. We have 372, 650, Ekron minus 415. But again, their main job is to protect that back line, keep those Thunderers fighting, and hold the line as long as possible. Likewise with the Dwarf Warriors. Slayers getting in there, doing some pretty decent damage, and having quite a lot of punch left. As you can see, both units basically still have 3/4 health, but despite this, managed to rack up 620 damage value, 672. Both the Thunderers as well, and a 700 damage value on this unit, 488 on the other. Skullguard being a real solid central fighting force there for the Dwarvish folk. 1,153 damage value, 11k damage dealt, 114 kills, and plenty of ammunition still left to go. As for Sergeant Spaghetti, the Fey Enchantress, of course, isn't going to be such a fisticuffs lord as Belagar. Gets an 151 damage value, though, isn't, terrible at the end of the day. Well, it's pretty terrible, actually, I take that back. But it's not terrible considering that she's there to heal, and that's what she did rather nicely. And as you can see, her Felix also struggled, finding himself in a tussle up against Gotrek. Her own Gotrek as well. 1.4k damage value, certainly not too shabby whatsoever. But considering the other one performed better, I think it's safe to say the true Gotrek and Felix was fighting for the Dwarvish folk today, despite the fact they were killed by their own demons. Peasant mobs simply there to die and bait out blasts and charges, and they did that job certainly. And foot squires, I love the idea of foot squires, but as we can see across the board, just terrible damage value all throughout. And even if they engage in the enemy front line pretty much full health, it still takes a disgusting long time to get through the units like Longbeards and so forth. And I like the idea. I think it's certainly worth trying out. And maybe people can send me some replays of foot squires working really well against dwarfs, but I do struggle to see it myself. Peasant bowman coming in, 878 damage value here, 1.4k, 400, 556. Really good display by the peasant archers, and the sacrifice of the foot squires was the gain of the peasant archers, doing some really nice damage across the board. Knights errant are relatively cheap and got some good backline harass. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.